So hello, everyone. Thanks for joining this super lightning session on, which is a 10-minute session on a fairly complex topic. And I don't know why we have that. OK. So I lead the Advanced Technology Initiatives practice at NTT DATA. And we basically incubate a lot of new technologies, assess them, and then see if they're right and ripe for the market. And then we float out community of practices and then take it out to our customers. Blockchain is one of our focus areas right now, and that's why I'm here to talk about it. So I'm going to take a 100,000 feet high view on blockchain. So you may have questions if you've not heard about it before. Please feel free to message or email me later for details. So the goals of this talk. First of all, I want to separate myths from facts on blockchain in this talk today. Second is I'm not here to sell blockchain Kool-Aid, which a lot of people are doing. And I just want to share my experience and my team's experience and opinion on the topic. By the end of the talk, I hope that I will give you enough concrete points for you to know whether you want to start here or not, and what are some of the steps that you can take to start your journey. So just because it is an afternoon slot, I want to do this quick show of hands. Have you heard about blockchain? Good, a lot of people, great. Do you feel it is important for the industry that you work in or your own career? Good. And are you actively involved in a blockchain project? 2 people in the room. And this is not surprising at all. My previous 2 talks that I've given on this topic have had the similar response. And that is pretty much where the industry is right now, in the proof of concept mode. So I hope by the end of the talk, you would be at least able to answer 1 or 2 if you have not raised your hands before. First myth about blockchain. A lot of people think because Bitcoin actually brought blockchain, both are one and the same, which is completely not true. Bitcoin does use blockchain as the underlying architecture, and many newer virtual currency management solutions do use blockchain as the underlying currency architecture. But virtual currency management is not the only use case that is possible on blockchain. There are several other things that are possible and which we are going to look at in a moment. But so please understand blockchain separately from Bitcoin. You might understand Bitcoin as an example, but that's not the only possibility here. So blockchains are actually a cryptographic, distributed, and decentralized ledger, which basically keep permanent tamper-proof records of all the previous transactions. If you apply this concept to any use case that you are trying to solve on blockchain, then you can think of it separately from Bitcoin. So having said that, one might ask, how is it different from any other secure database, or how traditional systems are really different from blockchain-based systems? So to understand that, let us look at this image, which shows a traditional system just like in banking or finance, where there is always a centralized agency which keeps record of everything that is, which keeps records of every transaction that is happening in the system. And to process any transaction, you have to get the approval from this centralized agency. Now, the kind of roadblocks that such a system poses is that there is a centralization of trust, which in turn brings roadblocks of speed and efficiency. So you cannot really make these systems faster beyond a point. Whereas in blockchain systems, you have the ledger is distributed across all the parties that are part of the blockchain. So now everybody has the same information, so any transaction can be approved by any node depending on certain rules which are consensus, etc. And depending on those rules, once the transaction is approved, the speed and efficiency is gained, which is not there in centralized systems. So, and another important point here is that in centralized systems, you have no guarantee that the central system is actually tamper-proof. Whereas in blockchain systems, the stronger virtue is that it is extremely hard and expensive to tamper the distributed ledger. So that's one of the strongest points why blockchain is gaining so much popularity. To break it down further, any blockchain system has permanent ledger for peer-to-peer transactions. It decentralizes the trust. There is no intermediary, so there is, of course, cost reduction. And then every participant in the blockchain provides consensus as a service. There is 100% accuracy in tracking the transaction that has happened ever on that particular blockchain. So the system provides security via transparency. Now, having known this, now let us see what are different industries doing here. Almost every major industry has a potential for using blockchain. But financial services is the one which is taking the first step in it. And they are doing proof of concepts of know your customer, anti-money laundering kind of cases, B2B payments, etc. So financial services is definitely the leader on proof of concept side, but then insurance and others are the ones who are actually trying to create productionized systems on blockchain. At NTT DATA itself, we are exploring several other industries. For example, in manufacturing and supply chain, we are exploring how warranty management can be made more efficient for smart appliances. So we are combining IoT and blockchain together there. Then in public sector, how can record keeping and treasury be made more efficient? Healthcare, right now the vendors are paid in 60-day cycles. How could that be reduced to a few minutes using blockchain? Again, online marketplaces, ratings and reviews, how can the authenticity be increased in this digital world on that? And media and entertainment, how do you, the digital asset rental, which is becoming extremely popular, that can be revolutionized and artists could be paid for every bit and penny and every time the digital asset is used, again, on blockchain, if the architecture is implemented on blockchain. So a lot of things are happening across industries, but there is a stereotype to these use cases that we are seeing. First of all, there is ID verification kind of use cases. Then there is intra and intercompany digital asset transfer and management, regulatory compliance reporting, and then most often or not, payments and especially with cryptocurrencies. So these are like the 4 set of use cases which have already been proven in some form or the other. So if you want to take it to your industry, you can definitely port it. Having said that, no one technology has ever revolutionized the world by itself, right? So blockchain will also not be able to do that. There are a lot of things that have to come together, from robotic process assistance to machine learning, AI, and then smart contracts and distributed autonomous organizations can actually really become a proper reality. So should you pay any attention to blockchain? So definitely, if you are in financial services domain, yes. Know it if you are in any other industries. You should at least know the basic concept, and you should know certain use cases that are important for you. Then, if you've survived without understanding, you have this third option too. Don't. If you do want to get started, these are some of the things that you need as the startup. Of course, if you're, and I saw this in previous presentations as well, to do anything new, if you're passionate about learning things new, if you learn and adapt quickly, you would be able to do that. Certain tech skills, you need to know basic software architecture and design, algorithms and data structure, at least one of the object-oriented languages, and modern web development on cloud. Once you start experimenting more, what else you would need? You would need blockchain platforms. You will need to understand at least one blockchain platform. A good one to start with is Ethereum. It's open source, very active. You will need to know blockchain-related algorithms and data structures. There is certain complexity to them, and they are new. You need to learn smart contract languages like Solidity, and then cryptocurrency and cryptography-related concepts, again, related to blockchain security. And then there is this whole new era of distributed apps, again, built on everything that we have been talking about, microservices, serverless, and all that, but they are how they are built, but their features of distributed apps totally differ. So this is also a new concept that you will have to learn and see how they work for you. How can you start? First of all, you need to be, if you just want to be aware, right? You can Google your way into blogs and analyst reports, etc. If you want to be prepared, you know that your company is going to have an initiative either now or next year, you can at least start learning a little bit about Ethereum and Bitcoin virtual wallet use cases. And then if you really want to be skilled at it, open up a lemonade stand in your company, right? That is how we started it. And you can just create your own virtual currency using one of the open source platforms and trade goods using that. That would teach you more than reading n number of things on that. Start participating in Hyperledger and Ethereum communities. You can just play with some dApps that are already out there. But if you want to truly master and you have a project on hand, and you really want to learn everything about blockchain, I would suggest managing a node in the public network, for example, Bitcoin, and then contribute to consortiums. Very nice people. Our company is also contributing code to that, and we have seen that it is one of the most energetic open source communities out there. So with that, I leave you all with this particular code, and hope you all have a great rest of the day. And with that, I think, do we have the next speaker? Yes, sorry.
Thank you very much.